We good? Test, test. Good. Hey, here we are live at the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network in the heart of Texas, right here in Oak Cliff, Texas. Today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com. FastModelSports.com, located there in Chicago, Illinois. What do y'all call it? Michigan Avenue? Yes, sir.
Magnificent Mile, same thing, right?
Yeah, I'm going there next week. Gonna spend one night in Grant Park. It's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, that's the whole deal to get me up on the geographics there. I know my way around pretty good there, but I'm away from both airports and back. But, yeah, that's where it all happens for Fast Model Sports, leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. Happy to have the continued support and renewal of contract, and we can go a little while longer right here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Astros and the Rangers kick it off tonight. We might even get a surprise live correspondence call in from Arlington, Texas. What do y'all call the stadium? You Arlington tonight? Tom Hicks built it. That's all I know.
I probably shouldn't say this. It's the ballpark at Arlington, I believe, but I probably should admit this. I'm not much of a baseball fan. I mean, I really enjoy the strategy late. The season's too long for me, and I think my ADD kicks in until about the last 10 games, and then I start strategizing. We talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think
that's kind of my thing.
That's the majority of people. I mean, but keeping up on it makes you more prepared for what's coming. But at the end of the day, it has a lot to do with the economics out there too.
Yeah, a lot.
Of what's going on. But hey, I said they need to win 3 of the 6. Well, they've won 2. They're 2-0 right now.
Good start.
After the 6th. They swept the Athletics while they had the Athletics there. And the crazy part about it, they got Beltran back. Profar, and I can't pronounce his name, but Profar was really, really highly sought after. They could have traded Profar for a lot of prospects, a lot of things.
A lot of bodies.
And they kept him. His versatility, playing the left field and shortstop, and made him move third base, and being the offensive player that he is there, he's a viable part. So my sources, being Ranger Royce, tells me that the Rangers are getting ready to be on their way back. They're going over to go take a look at it. But tonight, you know what? They got boys coming from the Bayou City, the Houston Astros. And the Houston Astros on a similar track of getting their bodies back. Now, Elvis, I can't think of Elvis's first name, won't be back. He has a broken forearm. Won't be back until in July. I think they're projecting him back. That's another body that makes him pretty good. But right now, they're still sitting in place. I mean, in Boston is just killing it on the American side. I mean, they're killing it in Major League Baseball, period. They've got the best record in baseball right now. So I mean, how much more can you ask for? It's where they are right now. I mean, I think they have 43 wins. Let's scroll down. Yeah, 43 wins. Yankees at 40, and then you got the Astros sitting there at 38. Which is not a lot. But at the same time, when you look at it, the Rangers are still sitting there at 12.5, 13 games back, out of the process. Can they get it? But the thing is that your American League wild card, and that's the way I like to watch it. Are you realistically still in the race? And I like to watch the top, and I like to watch the bottom.
Well, I was already looking at the weed out myself. I was hoping you weren't going to embarrass me and talk about the Chicago White Sox because I'm a White Sox fan.
Yeah,
I don't care.
That's the weed out right there.
They're gone, right? They're
KC and Kansas City Royals and the White Sox are out.
Well, the one thing that fascinates me about baseball is I've always been a believer in basketball. That usually a basketball game comes down to like 6 or 7 possessions. Out of the 70, maybe 60 or 70 times you get it in a high school game, that you're probably looking at 10% of those possessions probably will determine the outcome of the game. In baseball, you might have just one hanging curveball. The Bill Buckner ground ball. I mean, baseball swings so quick, and that's what you're talking about. Getting on a roll, all you got to do is just, throw one more strike, one less ball, field the ball cleanly. Don't make a mistake.
Right. I mean, because how many times do you retire from innings with 2 and 3 runs on?
That's the whole thing. I mean, ducks on the pond just kill you when you sit there and you start adding that
ducks
up.
on the pond. How about that? Boy, I tell you what.
I'm an old guy when I come up with that one.
Yeah.
That's nobody. They probably had no idea what I was just talking about right there.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
He's over there yawning. He's like, "Dude, this guy's this old school, man. Ducks on the damn pond."
He's catching up though. He's catching up real fast. You get enough. Hey, you pay enough rent and enough utility bills, and your intellect just has a tendency to kind of rise with that process.
I hear you. Hey, I was listening to Pardon the Interruption, which is one of my favorite podcasts. And if I didn't think we get sued, we could do, big deal, no deal, or big deal, little deal, no deal at all, right, kind of thing. But I was listening to them, so we won't steal that one unless I get permission from you to steal it. But what I did listen to was a story about Clayton Kershaw. And I love Kershaw. I was telling one of my friends who had no idea that Kershaw had grown up with
he's a Plano
Matthew
kid,
Stafford. No, he's a Matthew Stafford kid. They played together in Highland Park.
Okay, all right.
Those two kids play Little League baseball together, 11 years old. There's a picture of these two, and they got little crooked haircuts and wearing, ratty old stuff. These guys are both making $20 million a year. But anyway, the story was about Kershaw getting an MRI on his back. And, they talk about the velocity is so important in baseball. I mean, you lose 2 or 3 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, those guys, instead of seeing a little pea, they start seeing a softball. Yeah. And then if you lose 3 more, then they start seeing a melon.
Well, I mean, it's to go from a pea to a golf ball to,
to a baseball, softball to a mush ball. You know what mush ball is, by the way? In Chicago, you don't have much room to play softball in the parks, right? So they take a 16-inch softball that's really soft. It's called a mush ball, and you play without gloves.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can't hit it. I mean, I don't care if you're Attila the Hun, you ain't hitting that ball 300 feet. No,
right.
It don't matter.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that one.
Mush ball. That's kind of.
Y'all play stick ball up to 2. Is that a New York thing?
That's a New York thing. I don't do that crap. I'm never that bored. I'll take that first. Crap. And then I always thought handball was kind of weird too. Slapping a ball against the wall, but then again, they probably think throwing a ball through a ring is pretty weird too. So.
Where I come from, we get real boy. We pitch pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters.
I like to shoot craps, but I'm probably not supposed to say that. Gambling is a bad thing. Unless you're Adam. It's really funny. I don't mean to stop and hijack the conversation, but I just mentioned gambling. And it's amazing how different the NFL and the NBA are. And you knew it before they even legalized this gambling, because Adam Silver has always shown that he's a lot more
lenient.
He's lenient. He has a social conscience. He's got a little bit more or less of an edge, and it's amazing because
not the traditional billionaire.
Not your average billionaire white guy, right? Exactly. And so now, what's interesting now is you got this guy. If you thought the NFL could get 2% of the gross revenue of everything gambled on professional football, do you think Roger Goodell and those 32 plantation guys would suddenly change their tune about the sanctity of the game and the appropriateness of gambling? And we don't want to be in bed with gamblers. No, you don't want the gamblers to be in bed with the gamblers while you get squeezed out the mix. Yeah. And that's what's happening right now. That's a multi-billion-dollar business. And I hate to say it, but I love to gamble. And I don't gamble a lot because I'm cheap. And I'm getting money out of me is like pulling the bark off a damn tree. So I'm not going to go out.
No, we only played $20 golf for. Yeah, we played a $50 and $60 golf for $20 specials.
That's the kind of guys we are.
See, the best deal is then kind of use our clout and our relationships and get a chance to play some $150 $50 golf here and there.
Use some breaks and play that for $40, right? Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
The whole thing comes down to, though, so why is the NBA so enlightened and why is the NFL so backwards? And it all goes back to money. It's not about, I mean,
that's one of our topics tonight. I mean, how has money changed sports? And I don't know, it's always been a high profile, a high part or a high ingredient about the deal. It's always been a business. It's just so much damn money in it now.
But what's funny? My father's a retired high school teacher, Ken Inman. I'm certain he's not watching because he couldn't spell internet, much less get on it. But anyway, the old man, remember when I got my first job, I was making, I think, $27,000, 1989. And he's sitting there, he talks about too much. He talks about money too much in specific numbers. So anyway, he starts talking, probably one day you'll make like 85, 90 grand before you retire. I'm like, dude, where's the crack pipe? What are you doing, Dad? You fell back off the wagon, you're back to drinking or something? And that's where it's at. And then, so if someone had said a high school basketball coach would be making 80, 90, 100, every football coach in the state makes 100. If you don't make $100,000 a year as a head football coach, you're getting laughed at the meetings. Yeah. There are guys making 150. And my only point is, I never would have believed that would have ever happened. Would you believe the coordinators would make $2 million a year?
But I mean, it's all relative, too, now.
Right. I'll give you that.
I left going to college in 1981. Gas was 39 cents a gallon, and a $20 bill was basically the equivalent to a $100 bill now. It's just the math just works out. It just costs so much.
I'll grant you the inflationary cycle is attributable to some of that, but then some of it is the bonfire of the vanity. Some of it is you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Like, here's an interesting question.
I mean, Patrick Ewing said, we make a lot of money. We spend a lot of money too. So we got to make a lot of money if we spend a lot of money.
So one of my friends said this to me one time, and I flat called him a liar until I Googled it. And then when I Googled it, I read it. And when I read it, I went back and re-Googled it because I couldn't believe it. Okay. Would you probably agree that Kentucky basketball generates as much money as any Division I basketball program? They probably sell more tickets, more gear, they have a lot of fan involvement.
Top five.
Okay, but they're very strong.
They're probably top three.
And would you?
I actually know the numbers.
There you go. That's probably fair. Right. Top three, maybe not number one. But would you also agree at the same time that Kentucky football is basically crap?
Pretty close.
Okay. Kentucky football makes 3 times as much money as Kentucky basketball.
Because football is more. I mean, it's always been the case.
That. I never would have believed that. So where's Miami? Where's UCLA? Where's USC? Where's Texas? It's 100 to 1.
No, well, I wouldn't say it's that much because it's really strong. But what you have, and it's funny, you didn't even get to email, but that's directly where we're going tonight. Before we start, getting into this crazy NBA series that's going on, but that's what has sports. That's what has compromised the manipulative. Fuel the manipulative, compromise the integrity, compromise the love of the game, of the whole deal. I don't think anybody loves it less. It's just that it means you change it. Sports guys have a chance. Tony Dorsett, I think in 1976, was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys and received $1 million contract. He was the highest paying NFL football player at that time. I mean, and it's just right here in this neighborhood where we're sitting right now. Mel Renfro and those guys were making $23,000 a year playing for the Dallas Cowboys. Bullet Bob Hayes lived back over in Oak Cliff, made $18,000 a year.
Yeah, some of them had off-season jobs.
Yeah, had off-season jobs. So, I mean, all of that fuels the process of where it's going. So, I mean, is it inflation? Is it this? We got a guest coming on in the second hour that's on the money side of what goes on in sports and understands it really, really well. So, I mean, it's just a huge process. We're here at the Lonestar Sports Show. Today, this particular segment was brought to you by Hartem Hotels. Hartem Hotels, located right there in Houston, Texas. Hartem Hotels, put your money where you sleep. Go take a look at how the investment and development process can attribute to increasing your bottom line when you put your money where you sleep. Take a look and take a listen. HartemHotels.com can give you a better, clearer picture of it. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show.
Hartem Hotels. Make money where you and millions of others spend money. Hartem Hotels Investment and Development Group's primary disciplines include hotel acquisitions, hotel development, hotel project management, as well as asset and partnership management. At Hartem Hotels, we invest in upscale focused service and extended stay hotel properties, mainly in Texas and other major urban markets. We are hotel owners, developers, investors, and asset managers persistent in our pursuit of successful ventures and passionate about our products. We provide nationally branded investment opportunities, including Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt hotel franchises. Hartem Hotels strategically places the right product in the right location for the right customer. Get started with us today. Visit us online at www.hartemhotels.com. Hartem Hotels, put your money where you sleep.
Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show. Today's show is brought to you by FastMallSports.com. Right here at the Lone Star Sports Show here on Basketball Thursday. Got a lot going on. With basketball approaching the draft, grassroots basketball is going 900 mile an hour right now. And got a big weekend this weekend with Urban DFW Elite. Be a good quality. I love the real, what's what I call real grassroots, where guys are going to be in the gym, saying what they think, doing what they do, and hanging out. The kids are playing, and it's the purity of it. I remember when you, I can say this now, you're retired, I guess. I mean, when you we give your players a ride over to the – I was okay if I talk about that?
Hey, look, I started Steve Landerain Slam and Jam. It was the first team that could ever travel back in 1989. And I gave those guys rides from 89 to 2018. I mean, Charlie Friday was going to have to get over that.
Hey, Tom used to drop his little young kids off at my camp, and only one of them had a cell phone, and we line them up, and they just play basketball all day long. I get them a pizza or something they eat, and they play basketball some more. That was with Jalen, that group, in a part of that group. But I love the purity of the game, and it has a lot to do with what we're talking about right now. You can't take away a human being's need and desire for security. I was in a marriage deal. Will you marry me again? It was pretty much a marriage retreat / seminar deal. And a woman's number one need is security. And a lot of times guys spend half their life trying to figure that out. But as human beings, security is everything.
Well, and I think we need it probably as bad as them, but I think our machismo keeps us from admitting it.
Yeah, right.
We want it too. I want to know that I'm getting paid every month. I want to know that my wife ain't leaving me this week. I want to know that my friends still love me and my dog ain't gonna crap on the carpet.
Yeah, right. Okay. I mean, and that's it. And ours just kind of turns around, and we call ours respect. But when you look into sports, that's what money does. And anytime you tend to over fuel something, like you can actually you can drink too much water, which we think water is like the best thing for you. But you actually can have water poisoning.
Well, almost everything is okay in moderation, and almost everything is bad in excess. I mean,
Right.
it's just a matter of.
And so it's all about managing. So I mean, what you see with sports is, and what has happened. We were talking about baseball, and and how the process is controlled. We made the prediction that they got a 6-game homestand right here, that there's going to be a decline in ticket purchase if they don't win. Yeah, I said 3. Right now they're 2 for 2. They got 4 with the Astros here the whole time. If they mess around and let's say they win all 6, ticket sales go up.
Well, you got to remember too, in baseball you got 80 home games. So let's say there's 40 of those left.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a 20% surge or a 20% drop, let's say you go either direction. That's a lot of money over a lot of. That's because you got 50,000 seats. 20% is 10,000 seats. 10,000 seats. 40. That's 400,000 seats.
Right. Yeah.
Plus parking. Plus.
Yeah. Butts and seats. We call them room nights in hotels.
Right.
Butts and seats. And that's the whole deal. I mean, and it always, it's money in sports are not bad. And did you say that the love of money?
The love of money is the root of all evil, not the money. Not the money.
Yeah, it's the management of it.
The love of it.
And that's what we see going on in sports right now is that so much security is thrown into it, and then people start manipulating things for their own egotistical agendas, which is going to happen. It's human nature.
We've all heard the horror stories of a kid who will sign over his power of attorney to an AAU coach, and we hear these stories about just insane, personal decisions. But you and I've been blessed enough to be in the situation and understand it. And how many people really know what's going on when everyone starts throwing all the ego at them, and all the narcissism gets fed by.
That's what kills me with the Commission for College Basketball. You go get Condoleezza Rice, and Mrs. Rice, I have the utmost respect for everything that you've achieved as a professional, and you bring some other people on there on that deal. And they're trying to figure it out. They're the Commission on College Basketball, I think is the name of it. And, trying to figure some things out, how to clean some things up. But, you're not going to learn how to stop safecrackers until you hire a safecracker.
Right. The best security people, the best internet security people are hackers.
Yeah.
The best cops are criminal.
Yeah, right. That's the whole thing, because they just don't understand what they're really looking at and dealing with.
Well, you know what I want to say, and again, I have total respect for Condoleezza Rice too, and on the rare outside chance he's watching, you know what I would say? If I put a blindfold over the name of the job and the institutions, and I said, Ms. Rice, would you be interested in a job where you would get a minimum 5-year, possibly 7-year deal? You'd make possibly 10 times as much as any state employee. You'd have the right to use an unpaid labor force as a billboard for a shoe company. They'll give you millions of dollars. Are you interested? Well, I bet you are. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what you're operating, because right now football and basketball have an unpaid labor force, which is basically they're a de facto minor league for the NFL and the NBA.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, they're actually calculating a business plan that doesn't have any labor in it, or doesn't have any the margins go way up when you start taking out the cost of that.
Well, just ask.
And they say there's scholarship. I mean, and that's a part of it. But I've already done the numbers on that, and that doesn't come back right.
Well, you know what I'd say to Condoleezza Rice too is it's not as if lawyers don't already have a shady enough reputation for being greedy. But what would happen if you could get a bunch of his junior associates to work for free, for absolute free, on the outside chance that they might become a partner? And if it doesn't work out, well, good luck to you. Hey, come by one time and we'll have lunch. And that's what they're basically saying. Yeah. Come out, work for me for free for anywhere for a year to 4. Mm-hmm. If it goes your way, great. If it doesn't go your way, that's just the way it goes, son.
If it doesn't go your way, hopefully you got a degree and build some relationships.
And that's why hopefully you have someone who's giving these kids advice and someone who's being a mentor who sees
That's another one of the things that we're going to talk about later on. Who's advising the kids?
Exactly. And you talk about Snoop saying, and I've said the same thing to my players, they'll say, is somebody going to be a success? Well, so give me 10 or 15 years. We'll see if they raise their kids. We'll see if they, if they get their house repossessed. We'll see if they can hold the job.
Yeah.
And some of my favorite ex-players can't do some of those things, and some of my least favorite players can. And this is it always comes out in the wash.
Yeah, it does come out, and that's when you really see what things are. But you say, how has money changed sports? I talked about Tony Dorsett, $1 billion deal, how big a deal that was in the NFL in 1976. What year was that? That was 1979, 1980, 25 years, 25 million. It was some goofy, crazy deal. We're not going to play 25 years. Magic Johnson, what was that country?
25 years, 25 million.
That's what I thought.
Yep,
yeah. I thought that was the craziest thing in the world.
Well, what was your reaction, that they overpaid or he overcommitted?
The fact that he would never fulfill the 25 years of play, and how could you to me at the time I was probably 18 years old, and what I thought was they spread it out so it'd be more palatable in the way that it was perceived. But in actuality, he was really getting $25 million for like 10 years, which was a lot of money at the time.
Right, but if you look at it, the future value, present value of money, right? Mm-hmm. And you say, okay, what is that first? The $1 million the first year is worth $1 million. The $1 million the second year maybe is worth $987,424. Well, by the 25th year, that $1 million is worth $450.
Right,
maybe $350, depending on the rate of inflation.
Right,
and it depends how they stagger out your payment because you can get paid any way you want. You can tell I want a lump, I want it every week. I want
right, but there's penalties and costs for how you ask for your money too.
Well, one of the parlay games I play with a buddy of mine, we play the GM game, and what we talk about is like one of the things I was just pet peeving to Unnie about Jay Cutler, and Jay Cutler got a 7-year deal from the Chicago Bears, and I don't like Cutler, so I'll behave myself and not be an idiot about it. But I don't like his lack of competitiveness, and I didn't have any problem with how much money he made, but I had a problem with 7 years because what I said is 7 years, you might not like this guy in 2 years.
We know what you think. You know what you think, and I don't see players and unions and players associations anybody going for it, but you're basically saying we're going to go year by year.
Oh, no. That's my extreme, ridiculous example. But no, what I was saying, like with Cutler, was let's say he came in and said, I want 7 years for $17 million. I'd say, okay, I'll give you 5 years at 20. I'll give you more per year, but I'll get less years. And that's why I asked you that question about the length of commitment versus the right amount of money. Because I don't know, how about you? I don't want to sign anything longer than 5.
Because
the landscape changes too much.
When you start looking at that, and you don't have to repeat anything, when you start breaking down where the money is and these things, you would be blown all the way away of the reality of how that employee, a state employee, which obviously that's what that is,
right?
How all that breaks down and how all it comes out. But the fact is that the financial, fiscal nature of sports is off the chain. For you, sports tourism is an $8 billion a year business. $8 billion, B with a B.
Yeah, think about that when I see these families where they've got the 6 kids and they're all in the hotel, and you're in the hotels and the meals and everything, and they're all going to these youth soccer tournaments and this. And it's funny because I'm going to be really delicate here and not mock anybody, because I'm not trying to mock you wanting your kid to do better. Don't get me wrong. But there's different levels of interest and there's different levels of ability. We all want to believe our kid's the most talented, but a lot of us lack objectivity. And at the end of the day, like an example would be, I wouldn't spend a lot of money to play in an AAU basketball tournament that's during a non-evaluation time. That doesn't mean I wouldn't ever play, but I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it. Why? Because there's no college coaches there to evaluate, and there are ways to get around it. We video, we put it online, and this and that, but it's not exactly the same. So my point is, at minimum, you have to at least say there's 2 different in-period, out-of-period type of tournaments.
And supposedly, according to my sources, the evaluation period may be going away again.
They're going to take it all away?
We'll take it all away.
How are they going to evaluate?
It's going to be interesting. It's a whole nother story, but August the 1st, there are going to be some choices and decisions going to be made, and it's not going to look exactly the way it looks now.
Well, the one thing I'd like to know is everyone's known for years that the dirty, dark secret of college basketball is that the assistant coach is the guy who gets rolled under the bus. There's a guy that was up in Toronto that took a famous fall for Eddie Sutton all the years back when all that Chris Mill stuff started, right? And what I always wanted to know was, why does firing the assistant embolden or solidify the head coach, like when Mac Brown would fire his OC or something like that, right? Why does that save you? And then ultimately, why is the AD not responsible for the coach?
That's just a corporate thing. There's always a fall guy.
Right. But then ultimately, isn't the president responsible for the AD and the AD responsible for the coach? I mean, but you never see it. You always see their clear line of division where the president sits above the fray, but he enjoys all the benefits of it.
Yeah, well, they're not a bit much in the business of hiring the guys and firing the guys that make the most money, because it costs more to fire guys like that because they have contracts. Unless you can find a violation of the contract and not pay them. Kind of like the Kevin Ollie situation in UConn right now.
Are they going to pay him?
Well, who knows? Jury's still out.
See, huh?
Looks pretty good going to Kevin Ollie. When does the union of a state get involved, teachers union or whatever you guys have, like TA here, they've gotten involved in Kevin Ollie's piece.
Really?
Yeah, in defending what UConn is trying to do there.
Well, I hope he gets his money, because you can find problems in any program in the nation. Don't pick on him.
And Kevin Ollie's a good dude too, so we do hope he gets his money. Right here at the Lonestar Sports Show, getting through the second segment. Today's show was brought to you by FastSmallSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by Fast Recruit. Go take a look at FastSmallSports.com, and all your college coaches, there's actually a seminar, a webinar going on right now for you to be a more efficient user of Fast Recruit, where you can go in for 15, 20 minutes and get a little tutelage on how to become a more efficient recruiter in your process and managing the technology that's available to us today. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. We got plenty more. We're going to talk some more about money. We're going to dive into this NBA situation, give our thoughts about it. Game 3. Are we headed toward a sweep? All the junkies say we hope not. What are we going to do then? Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Boy. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network.
Some things just need to stay off the air, don't they?
Commercial breaks might be better than the show around this camp.
Lone Star Sports Show after hours.
Yeah, Lone Star Sports Show brought to you by Dickie Doo.
Raw. Raw Dickie Doo.
Yeah, Dickie Doo. There you go. Go figure it out. Figure it out, you deserve to know. Poor Lady Life, boy. She just sitting here.
Boy, the
smartest
keep.
person in the room. I'm stuck in here with a bunch of old middle-aged X. We got a whole bunch of X's.
We got a bunch of X's, not too much future.
Yeah. And then sitting over there with no X's and all future, and she's sitting there just kind of looking from side to side. But no, the one thing about Golden State, and I've said this, I've been on record saying this multiple times, there are two things I like about Golden State's team is that there are two things that I think that gives them an incredible chance to always win, or higher chance than majority of maybe anybody in the league, is that their offense is generated by the defense.
Okay. And
because of their ability to shoot the ball, even when they're playing bad, you look up, man, they only down 6, they only down 9, and they can pop that thing and reverse it. And if you stop and look at it, every run is started by a defensive.
It always isn't a run out. It's always transition stuff. You're right. They get a lot of easy baskets.
Well, they get into it and they keep on playing that. So, the one thing, if there's anything that could be passed out there to the young guys, is that defense creates offensive opportunities.
Right, and rarely vice versa.
And rarely vice versa. If closer to never, then rarely, I would say. But we'll lean toward the bigger authority here, Coach. Coach got one of the big rings on right there. See if you and Snoop Johnson get those out of the bubblegum machine.
Hey man, it don't turn. I did not buy this at Big T Bazaar. Okay, this will not turn green in the shower. If you're from Oak Cliff, you know where Big T Bazaar is. If you're not, you probably don't.
There was no Big T Bazaar. You know what that was? That was Target.
Yeah,
when I was a kid. Yeah, that was Target. Yeah, but that's inside joke.
Funny inside story is Joe Fultz comes down here one time when he's about 15 years old. Right, he's like inner hood rats trying to drag him down. He's going to go hang out in Oak Cliff with the brothers. So he goes down there and he buys this big old gold rope chain. And he thinks he gets the deal from hell. And of course, it turns 3 shades of green in the shower.
Yeah.
What do you think you got? You went to Big T Bazaar and spent $27 on a chain, you idiot.
I can see Joe falling for that
Joe's
one
the
too.
best kid in the world, but he's so
gullible, a little gullible.
Well, he's the guy you walk up, you say, you know what they're going to take gullible out of the dictionary next year? And they'll go, really? That's Joe.
That's Joe.
No kidding.
Some reason or other, Joe might hear that too.
That's all right. He's going to hear it.
He may work around a Buzz Williams or somebody on staff up there or somebody
I'm
else.
sure he hears worse from Buzz every day.
Yeah. But no, it's a deal, man. And, I just think money has the inability to manage the billions of dollars that sports produce is the sad part about it. And you know what it is? You know what makes it sad, Coach? I'm going to tell you what makes it sad. It's the same thing as, because sports are beautiful, because they reach people, people drown their sorrows.
It
bridges gaps.
Yeah,
it crosses social lines. It does all these different things. And then it produces the amount of money that we're talking about, all these billions of dollars and trillions of dollars when you start to talk about the big picture thing. And when you look at that, of what's going on globally with sports, the fact that we don't have the wherewithal to utilize it to make this a better world.
Well, the bottom line is that the facade is the beautiful game, whatever the game is, soccer, baseball, basketball, football, whatever it is that you love, and you call it the beautiful game. Mm-hmm. And your kids grow up playing it, and they play hard, and it's beautiful. It is great. You go to Dairy Queen after the game, the kids
how about
fun.
that? Back when I was a kid, hit a home run, you get a banana split.
Oh, come on, man. And what's better than this, right? So then all of a sudden you go to high school. Well, now you're sitting there thinking, well, I get more dates when I play well in high school and everything. That's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And then, well, maybe I can play in college. And then, well, maybe I can play in the pros. And then it gets, as you still put out the facade of the beautiful game, deeper and deeper behind it becomes the money. And everyone does this. Think about how many people hustle, how many people out of how much money. You could tell stories that would get you disassociated, disbarred, fired. And we could, both of us, all day long, and we know they're true. Mm-hmm. You know they're true, and I know they're true.
Well, the thing about it is that there's been so much pursuit now with the parents, and I hate to say parents pimping their kids.
Oh no, say it. Please say it louder.
Right. I mean, and it's parents pimping their family, and they're putting it all on the line.
Right. You got to come save us. Well, I mean, it's a lot of pressure on a kid to be a really good basketball player when maybe at the end of the day, he's not a great basketball player. I always tell people, I said, every car that's got 4 wheels and brakes is a car, but every car ain't a Lambo.
Yeah.
Car ain't a Lamborghini.
Right. But the point is that this is what disappoints me about it, because I think sports has a tremendous opportunity, like you say, cross all these bridges, reach education, build relationships, be around people that you would have never been around if it wasn't for the vehicle of sports. Right. And all these things are in there in place, but the money pretty much clouds or hoodwinks the people, and they miss the whole window of what they really have opportunity to access.
Well, let me ask you a question without naming any names, of course. Just think of all the times that you sit there and you hear people tell things to parents that are just straight up BS. They're just crap, because you've got to sell crap. You can't sell the truth. The truth is your kid's average and he might play at Eastfield. No, that ain't going to sell.
But the problem with it is that the parents are creating their own crap.
Well, I made a note to myself. This is kind of you were talking about pimping, and the reason I agreed so wholeheartedly was the AAU playbook. One of the things is you take a kid who's, say, a point. He calls himself a point guard. He's a 2 guard, but he's 6 foot tall. So his AAU coach tells him he's a point guard. And he becomes this combo thing. And basically they sell the idea to your parents that if you give me enough money, I'll shop him around the country, and everyone will know that your son is a better player than he is.
Well, in the famous words of Chris Walker, basketball people are terrible mathematicians. When you look at the number of scholarships.
Right, exactly. There's only 300 universities and 13 schools. There's 5,000 kids playing Division I basketball in the nation. That's across four classes.
There's roughly 1,300 Division I scholarships awarded. Now, and then they want to turn around and frown on the Division II scholarship.
Right, and then they'll fluff off it.
Which increases their percentages like triple.
And they'll fluff a JUCO, which gives them a chance to re-audition themselves, but they won't think in those terms. Mm-hmm. But to go back to the girls, if you took a girl, I got 3 sisters, and I love all 3 of my sisters. They're all pretty, but that's the best that you're going to get. But if they went to my mom and said, Mrs. Inman, if you'll pay us $5,000, we'll take your daughters, we'll let them go on the road with us, and we'll travel all over the country, and I'll make sure they're seen by all the right talent evaluators, because everyone back at home, they just don't know how beautiful your daughters are. And if I just flip that whole script and replace girls with guys, that's what you hear.
Yeah.
And my sisters are what's going to happen is my mom and dad are going to spend $5,000, and my sisters are going to come home and they're still pretty and chubby. No disrespect, but that's what they are. They're pretty and chubby. They're not beautiful girls. And there's a lot of pretty chubby basketball players who aren't going to Duke. But if you, again, you have that profit motive, and everyone's got an incentive to lie, because who really knows the truth?
Well, everybody's got an incentive to lie because the people want to hear the lies.
It feeds your ego.
Yeah.
You know, I was just telling you this story about Mike Kabongo and his little brother Jonathan. And when he went for his recruiting visit to Buzz Williams, Buzz went through some crap. I won't go through the whole story, but Nene hung him out to dry, the mother, because Nene knows the hustle. And she's not listening to this crap the second time, but how many people have a second child?
Yeah. Well, very few. I say that all the time. What makes the grassroots business in college sports period
One
is
kid.
No repeat customers.
Hey, Colin and Nolan Dennis was one of the rare opportunities where but you're right, there's no repeat customers. And how long do you stay pissed off? And at some point in time, you just say, oh, the hell, I just got to move on with my life. And they just move on.
Right. And then some new people come in. And what kills me about it, that doesn't make grassroots basketball and summer ball and sports bad. That's just like anything else being used inappropriately.
Hey, today I'm standing on the street, and we had a big hailstorm in Arlington. My car got pounded, okay?
Today?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I just got smashed over there the other day, right? My thing looks like someone hit it with a ball-peen hammer. So I'm standing there on the front porch, and some white dude comes through the neighborhood. Well, red alert, there's no white guys in my neighborhood. It's mostly Hispanic and black, and I'm about the only white guy, right? So he's going down and he's passing out these cards about hail damage repair. And I take his card to listen to his bullshit and everything. Then I turned to my stepson. I said, throw that crap away, because he's trying to hustle. Hey, man, I'll give you $100 a car. Man, come on. I've been down that road before. That ain't going to happen.
I've seen good guys that want to come out and repair your car right there on the spot.
Oh, yeah. No. Let's go ahead and pass on that tempting offer.
Yeah.
You know, you opportunistic jerk. I mean, what do you do? You're from Rockwall and you're white. There's like 37 reasons that you shouldn't be in my neighborhood trying to make money off me, especially when I don't trust people by default. So there you go.
Moving right along, getting on back into the money in sports, but that's what the whole deal. But can there be anything different in Game 4?
I don't know. I mean, if you're going to, you just told me that you've heard rumors that on August 1st, they may go to the point where there will be no evaluation. But the reason that bothers me, I'll tell you a really quick story, was I always believed when I was a head coach that you should watch a team you're going to play 3 times. So I would always get 2 tapes, because I always traded tape, and I was big on that, and I cut them up and get ready to go. The third time I want to see it live. So one year we play when Miles Garrett was a junior over at Arlington Martin, right? He's playing over there. What was the kid's name? Nick, that went to Arkansas.
Nick Babb.
Nick Babb, okay. And then you had this big white kid that went to John Brown University, big 6'8" white kid. You remember him?
Yeah.
Well,
he was in Arlington too.
I never had a chance to watch these guys live, so we come out there for the game, and I turned to Barron. The big white kid's turning back over his head. Nick Babb's windmilling it. Miles Garrett is 3 weeks off a football field, and he's looking in the rim, dunking the ball. And I turned to Barron, and I was making.
For all y'all don't know who Miles Garrett is, that was the #1 pick in the NFL draft last year.
One of the best kids in the world, and an unbelievable athlete. Really, really nice kid. But anyway, so they're going through this stuff, and then there are college coaches who ain't seen dunk shows like this. I don't care, man. A small school, I mean, not in Division I. But anyway, so I turned to Barron, and I said, damn, they sure didn't look this big on video. And I was making fun of myself because nobody looks big on video. So the reason I tell the story is, so now what the hell is the NFL and the NBA going to, if you can't evaluate, how do you evaluate if you can't see people live? Because the tape doesn't have a third dimension. It's two-dimensional.
And I think there are some proposals, and we'll see, and we don't want to put anything out there that's untrue, but it's proposals that now USA Basketball, speaking of the Colangios.
Oh, so they're going to come up with a new job for Brian? We'll get to that one in a little bit, huh? Jesus.
Brian got a new job. He's going to take care of all the evaluations.
We're going to make him an offer they can't refuse.
Yeah, there you go. So, but anyway, they'll take over it and manage it, and then they'll do this and that, and everything will be great, you know, and we'll all be living in this perfect world.
And then Santa Claus will come back, and the Tooth Fairy will come visit tonight.
Just like the AAU world was, remember?
Hey, man, we're in it for the kids.
Yeah. Right.
I always told everyone, if you ever want to know who you should watch out for, tell anyone who gets into education or basketball and says, I'm in it for the kids, and then an AAU coach who ain't got a day job. Those 2 things you better watch out for.
No,
I'm just playing. But no, seriously, you just got to watch out because if you're a parent out there and you're watching this, you know, one thing I would tell you, if your kid's good enough, they'll find you. Their kids tend to fall through the cracks a little bit. You can help them. You can give them a little boost.
I think there's some truth to that, and I think there's some not truth to that because there's just so many. I say this is my deal. It doesn't do any good to be able to play and nobody see you, and doesn't do any good for everybody to see you and you can't play.
Absolutely, yeah. Perfect.
That's my deal.
Perfect.
And my whole deal is the right people have to see it.
Right. Well, it's a niche fit because I listen to you talk about mid-major plus, mid-major minus, high major plus, high major minus. There's a differential. And you know that better. I don't know it as well as you do. I couldn't make that distinction like you can.
Yeah,
but there is a big distinction because that's why you see a lot of guys who get over recruited and come back to North Texas. They come back to UTA.
Yeah, they come back and they usually find your level. You know, my main man Steve used to say all the time that you take the highest level you're being recruited and come down to half a level, and that's where you got a chance to be really good. Got the Lone Star Sports Show right here. Going off to it, a break right here. Today's show is brought to you by FastModelSports.com. This particular segment was brought to you by the Lone Star Top 100 Camp with Texas Grassroots Basketball. Go look at TexasGrassrootsBasketball.org and hear about the NCAA live event July 11th through 13th. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. Star Sports Show right here. Giving it to you like it is right here in the heart of Oak Cliff on Basketball Thursday, breaking it down. Are we looking at a sweep? Are we potentially, are we potentially looking at one of the best teams of all time? I don't know. What are your thoughts, Coach? I mean, do you think it's possibly that kind of situation? Scott Brooks was the guy.
Scott Brooks. Okay. Well, let's go back and look at one thing real quick. Mm-hmm. Game 5, where Draymond Green.
Game 5 of the West.
Game 5, the year that they lost in the finals to LeBron. Mm-hmm. In Game 5, if I'm not mistaken, I think Draymond Green teabagged a guy or something, walked over the top of him. They gave him a tee.
Yeah.
They ejected him. Was it from Game 4, and they had him out for Game 5, I believe what it was.
That's correct.
The point being was I don't think the league wanted Golden State not to win. I just figured they said, well, maybe they'll lose Game 5 at home, but they'll always win 7 back on the road. So my point is this. There was a play that happened.
You mean they were victim of their own voodoo?
Yeah, but it's early because earlier in that playoff series, he did something with Steven Adams, and he should have got a tee for. You know how there's a reset? Mm-hmm. Like you get a certain number of points, you sit a game, then you reset back to 0, and then you start it up again. Mm-hmm. If they'd have hit him back then, it would have been 0 when they got there. Mm-hmm. So the point was that you got that thing extended out. But kind of on bullshit, let's be honest, you could be looking at 4 in a row. Mm-hmm. If you take that one little, and again, I'm weird because I'm OCD and I watch these little things, but you let that go with Steven Adams, which then kept, it's like holding a technical foul. You know that phrase for basketball. For people out there who don't know, if a ref's mad at you early in the game, what they'll do is they'll hold on to it to the last 20 seconds and burn you.
Yeah, until they burn you and slap you with it when it counts, right?
Right.
Because they realize it's not that big of a deal.
And so it's the same thing here, and they held that point total over Draymond. Or you could look at it 4 in a row. You made a point about two things that I really, the 2 points that you liked about Golden State, the 2 things I wrote down that I like, they're extremely unselfish. You can tell they don't much care.
Nope.
And the other thing is they're really coachable. And that, of course, made me think of one thing. I said to a buddy of mine, I couldn't remember who the coach in OKC was, and you guys just reminded me of Scott Brooks, who Scott's a nice guy, but not the strongest dude. And I remember saying to my buddy today, I said, can you imagine this? If that guy had handled his business better, after you watch Kevin Durant go and win 2 rings in a row, probably playing unbelievably well, so he goes off and wins 2 rings, and you got 2 years of Russell getting triple doubles and winning 50 and 51 games respectively. And if you'd have been tougher on that situation, maybe we wouldn't have lost Kevin. I mean, there's some fans in Oklahoma City probably could blame some of this, probably justifiably, on Brooks, because at the end of the day, I think most knowledgeable basketball people know that he was getting frozen out.
Yeah,
Russell Westbrook was freezing Durant out. There was a pissing contest.
Tell me, how does this one look? Russell Westbrook and LeBron playing together.
Never happened. He choked the shit out of him. He'd grab him by his neck and he'd squeeze those little white glasses right off his face. Gee, come on, man.
I had that one proposed to me last night on the chat line.
You talk about two ball-dominant people.
Oh, man, that's a whole deal. I said, Coach,
Russell got it on a yo-yo string. It's twisted around his middle finger. He tries to throw it, it comes back.
Yeah, all right. Only time it disconnects is when it's going in the hole. But that's crazy.
And man, I know I'm too harsh on it, but my only point is that if maybe you manage that better, maybe you still got those 2 guys, then maybe you are rolling because you do have Steven Adams and you got some size inside, some rim protection. You had Serge Ibaka and you had some different players.
Oh,
you let a hell of a team go away for a 6-pack of beer and a cheeseburger.
And everybody wants to be frustrated with what's going on, and I can't figure out how everybody is screaming foul. And we know, according to the old standards, what Durant did was not acceptable. You don't go join the competition because you can't beat them.
Yeah, but LeBron started that.
That's the world that we live in.
Right. And see, that's another reason that I don't do the game anymore.
And that's the money in the game. And, the fix is on. Ain't that what y'all say in Chicago?
Yeah, absolutely. The fix is on.
Right. I mean, the fix is on. The fix is, and when I say the fix is on, I don't mean anything illegal, but with the free agency and how things move and the fluency of rosters and things like that, it's fluent. I mean, it moves until they get it all the way they want it.
You know what my analogy is? It's like insider trading in the stock market, right? Mm-hmm. If you don't think that LeBron is texting Paul George, if you don't think LeBron's texting Ben Simmons and texting Joel Embiid and all that, you're nuts. And you can't control that. Well, for anybody who tries to say you can control it, don't even try. For anyone who says you can control insider trading, don't even try.
How can you control it? Because you're in America. You're dealing with people.
Right, exactly.
You're dealing with human beings. It goes back to what I said in the very beginning. Every human being is trying to do the most they can do to survive and have the things that they want. You're not going to get away from that.
All right, let's take a little sidebar then, right along those lines. Today we hear that Brian Colangelo resigns, which is good. It's a mercy killing to do everyone a favor. He needs to step aside for the better interest of himself. He probably got his payment because he agreed to leave.
Right.
All right, so now
his wife jumps up and takes the blame for it. What does that help her do?
Well, you can't. Well, I don't want to say control your wife. That's a horrible way to phrase it because you're not here to control your wife. But if your wife's an idiot, then maybe she shouldn't maybe be your wife. But my point is this: now that they don't have a GM, who do you hire? You hire David Griffin. Why? Because David Griffin can call LeBron, right? Yep. He'll get him to return his phone call because they're close, and it all works that way. Mm-hmm. Just like when you can predict, you are so experienced, you know so many people in college basketball, you can predict who's going to hire who as an assistant coach before it ever shows up in the paper. You're 2 weeks out of it, right?
Well, I mean, a lot of that comes down to fit, and need. Or do a whole lot of that. Then you connect it out with the relationship.
Right.
Like you're talking about.
But there's always a connection because very rarely, does someone just randomly outside of their arc just hire people. You don't just do it. You don't hire people off websites.
Well, people don't hire people. Two things that people don't hire: people they don't like and people they don't know.
I heard a great story that Sam McCoy, Colt McCoy's dad, did a coaching seminar called Coaching Greatness, and he told a story about how he would hire anyone he coached, or he would hire anyone who had the recommendation of anyone who coached with him or played for him. Mm-hmm. So he called that one ring removed. Mm-hmm. He said that you get in trouble when you go to the second ring removed. That's when the friend of a friend recommends the next friend. So he tells the story. He said, one time I got jammed up. I had to hire a DC. So I hired this guy. And he comes in town, and he's got the right tie on. He says everything right. He plays the game, and I got me a great one. I hire him up and everything. About 5 days later, I get a call from the sheriff. He said, "Man, you need to get down here. Your drunk ass fool DC just got done beating his wife to a pulp, and he's drunk as hell. So I stepped up and I fired him right through the daggone bars." Well, the point is, most people aren't willing to take, because there's a chance if you do that, you might get fired as the head coach, because that doesn't show particularly good judgment on your part to hire a drunk fool.
No, and there's no doubt about it. That's why Google has got to be such a big deal right now, and how people make decisions. I mean, pretty much corporate America says in Google we trust. Is pretty much the deal. I mean, anything kind of like remember the Goofy commercial used to be out where the girl said, "I saw it on the internet." The little green men with arrows coming out of their head.
It must be true. I saw it online.
We
used to say the same thing. It's in the newspaper. Yeah. Like I learned a long time ago before the internet came up was, if you ever want to tell something to your players, I never would ever say anything negative to the press. If I want to be a jerk, I'll be a jerk at practice when you can't print it and everyone can't read it, right? Mm-hmm. But to the press, I'm going to let them you're going to carry my water. Mm-hmm. Because if a kid would sit there and say, "Dang, I read it in the paper. It must be true." Well, all he's doing is doing me a favor because he and I drink beer together. But the bottom line is that I know it has validity. Well, take it one step further because now it's the online.
No, I mean,
must be true.
Get it from a different voice, a different angle. But, before we get ready to get out of here, we got a few more minutes to look at it. I predicted 4-1. And I almost went back on my prediction because I thought enough animosity had been created between them that they're going to say, "Hey, let's crush these dudes in their own place." And then I watched the game last night. I said, it's not a team animosity thing.
It's a little individual.
Yeah. So I'm saying that they're going to lose tomorrow night in Cleveland.
Well, I think there's two reasons. I agree with you. I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
What I was going to say was I think the refs might take a few questionable situations and flip that game. And there's something to be said for winning at home. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're going back home in Game 5. You still got 2 home games, even if you lose Game 4.
But if you're angry enough, and you're mad enough at those guys,
stop them and humiliate them at home, right? Make them look like fools in front of their families.
Right, there you go. Exactly right. Yeah, and because there's more to that. So I'm sticking with my 5-1.
4-1.
I mean, excuse me, 4-1
5
5-game series. I'm sorry, and that's what I think is going to be. I can't see any way to reverse that. I mean, how good was Kevin Durant last night?
Couldn't be any better.
Yeah, I mean, when I said, a lot of my buddies, like I said, I've got a little chat line with a bunch of Division I coaches and stuff, and I said he was the most prolific offensive player in the game right now, and a prolific scorer is what is the word.
He just pours it in bushels.
Well, I just love to see him get around about 10, 6, 8 feet from the goal.
Oh, he just rises up and shoots over the top of his head. He's already 7 feet tall. Who's blocking that shot?
Yeah. That is so crazy,
Let me ask you a question. All right, let's say that David, what's his name, Griffin goes to Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. LeBron decides he wants to play in Philly. Can Griffin tell LeBron, "You have no say in this roster anymore. I'm tired of watching this crazy shit you've been doing because our roster went in the crapper as soon as I left, and you've been bullying everyone, and those days are over"? Can you do that? I mean, not that harshly, but can you make that message? Because Jerry Krause never got a call from Jordan telling him that he needed to make a move on this guy and that guy. And we talked earlier at the previous show about, LeBron's got some culpability here, because it's his roster.
Oh, no doubt about it.
But I mean, going forward, would you take LeBron? I mean, your boys ain't getting on the plane. If I don't want to deal with them, if I have to deal with Maverick and the boys on the plane, if I've got to deal with
their own plane, Coach.
Well, go fly on it. Yeah, you're big time. Go fly.
He may fly on it too.
Well, that's fine, but
LeBron.
That's fine. But just don't bring them on like you own our team, and then don't whine to me about two things: the roster and then the results of the roster that you whined about. At this point, I mean, it's annoying to me. It's that passive aggressive thing. He wants it both ways kind of thing. And I just wonder, like, now that he's getting, and he is playing magnificent basketball, but the end's coming. Because Father Time's undefeated. Don't kid yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Mother Nature and Father Time are undefeated.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you can clearly see that that's where everything, is and going, and that's what we're looking at. You can't get around it. But, I mean, it's 15 years, and that's where he is. I mean, he'll end up being his era. He was the greatest in his right window. He's the GOAT of that. The 6 rings, he can't get to that. And I mean, the only thing left he can do is say that he can stay around long enough on a cane and be the first guy to play with his own son.
Yeah, but then if you're only doing that for numbers instead of rings, then I got 2 words for you: Will Chamberlain.
Well, hey, he's always done things for reasons other than rings.
Well, that's my point. I hold that in contempt.
Yeah,
I just hold that in contempt.
And I say he's always done that. That's my perception and my impression of how he's going about manage it, and it turns into marketing dollars and how he goes about being a billionaire potentially.
I know being a billionaire is a great idea. Like I hope that one day I'll have $1 million in liquid assets. That would be a great accomplishment for me, but it doesn't really change my life. Yeah. And I'm not sure that when you go from 850 million to 1 billion, 2 million, what's the difference?
We'll drink a little better brand of beer when we get done playing golf, and
we won't worry about playing $20 golf in Prairie Lakes.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pay the $40 golf. Lone Star Sports Show right here. We come back in the second hour. We're going to be bringing in Robert Hatter with the deal, also with the Chop Shop. 20-something years as an agent in the business. Penny Hardaway's first agent brought him to town. Many other guys going to give us some insight on what's going on in this pre-draft thing and what the draft is all about and how the process works. Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network. You got Tom Emmon, Alan Branch, Lady Life, and the Prince, Under You Money, keeping us where we need to be. Back in 180 seconds.
How do you think these players from across the country compare to the players that's in the Wisconsin area?
Ranked teams, better players, competition, more teams that we got to battle against.
The competition a lot tougher. Like in the Wisconsin area, we get 2-3 teams that usually compete, and we all just between those 2 or 3 teams who win all the tournaments around there. But this is more different teams. You never know who's gonna win.
Together, I asked them a question: what's the best part about team? And of course, I got all the cliche answers. And I said, no, the best thing about team is your team. Having a bunch of guys that you can depend on and rely on. And this is a type of game where you can't do it by yourself. You have to rely on guys to be there and have your back and work as one.
Hey, here we are back here on the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Today's show was brought to you by FastModelSports.com. FastModelSports.com, leading basketball into the 21st century through the vehicle of technology. Just as I promised, and we have delivered right here at the Lone Star Sports Show right now, we got my guy, longtime Memphis native, Houstonian transplant. He's official. They've adopted him in Houston. You got Robert Hatter Sr., located right there in Houston, Texas, come in and share with us some of his perspectives. Coach, you've been a part of the NFL, NBA draft, pre-draft process for 20 what years?
This was 1993.
1993.
Yeah.
I met you in 1997, I guess, 1998, right. So, I mean, a lot of people, when they look at it, and one of the things that we've been talking about earlier tonight, obviously, we gave a little attention to the series and going into Game 4 and what we thought about Game 3, and that's all intriguing and interesting. But to me, one of the biggest things right now is to us, period, here at Lonestar Sports Show, and Tom has been in agreement, and even my support production staff here has been pretty intrigued, is where politics and economics have the role has gotten to. If I had to say what money was in 1993 in sports and what money is as 25 years later in 2018 in sports, what would be your initial reaction?
Boy, that's a broad statement, Mr. Brett. You got to put it down. What you mean by what money is in '93 and what money is now? That's a broad statement.
Okay, I agree.
Bring it home a little bit for me.
I'm bringing a little bit tighter to it. How much more time? First of all, the magnitude and the revenue streams involved in sports in 1993 and the revenue streams involved in sports in 2018.
Okay.
And the management and attention given to dealing with all those revenue streams and balancing them and examining them and trying to figure out where it is that you fit in that process.
For the player,
yes,
or for the industry? For the player.
I think I want to hear both sides. We're gonna be here a little while.
First of all, the industry has changed. The industry, just the basketball and the football industry, has broadened their borders.
Okay.
So they're global now.
Okay.
So now you're getting dollars that you'd even think about getting. That's why they paid Roger Goodell all that money, and that's why David Stern was getting a hefty sum, because these guys went out there and looked at the global market and brought that pie over to the United States. Thus, so when the owners in the league get more money, they have to share it with the player.
Okay.
It's called revenue sharing.
Right. Okay. That makes all sense. We familiar. Let me stop you right there for a second.
Okay.
A word that we throw around real loosely is global. And if you had to give an example of how the growth of football and basketball, the NFL and the NBA, how the growth has reached beyond the borders of the United States or beyond the North American continent, might be a more accurate way of putting it. If you had to explain, what does that really look like, literally?
What it's showing you every day. All
Okay.
you have to do is look at the player's salary.
Yeah.
When I came in, I'm going to show you something so unique. I'm going to give you an instance, then it'll help you out. When I first got in the business with Penny, the year before Penny got drafted, Shaquille O'Neal was the number one player, the number one pick in the draft.
Right. Now, Penny was in the 1994 or 92? 94?
Number 93.
93. Okay.
Shaq in 92. What? It's right in that area. But let me explain it to you. Shaq came in. His total for his deal was $40 million. That's the number one pick.
And you say the total of what? Total of his NBA
contract.
His contract with the NBA team, with the team.
Shaquille O'Neal's the total value of his contract was $40 million
with the team.
Okay,
right.
With his team,
right.
with the Orlando Magic. The exact next year, okay, the next year we signed Penny to a $72 million contract, the length of the contract, the value of the contract. And the next year, and Penny was the number 3 pick. It was the number 1 pick. Orlando Magic had it. The number 1 pick was Chris Webber. Number 2 was Sean Bradley. I can go into why that happened. It's a big thing how that happened. So,
we're gonna save that one. That's draft choices.
Yeah,
how
we'll
they move around. Right.
So guess what? That next year. So then the next year after that, Glenn Robinson wanted to come out. Glenn Robinson and Jason Kidd and Big Dog. They came out to Penny. So what happened When Penny got that $72 million, Glenn Robinson said, I want $100 million.
I remember that. I definitely remember that.
That's when David Stern said, hold on. We got to put in a salary cap because we can't give these rookies this much money.
We can't
unproven talent.
Right.
So all you had to do is follow the money. And then after that, it's just, I mean, it's then Yao Ming come over a little later on in his career. And that's when the Asian market, and then the European market. Then guess what? We started getting better European players. So that market opened up. So you're talking about money. You want to talk about money. That's where the money is. And hold up, stop. And TV. Let's stop. TV.
And for my listeners, because I know some, because you told me so many times, so I understand some of these things. But slow down a little bit on the fact when we talk about a global market and the revenue increase because of the Players Association and a bargain agreement that's on place. They have to share with the players, so players make more money. Why? Tell me why the NBA or the NFL is actually making more money now. Are they selling more hot dogs? They're selling more cold beer?
No.
I'm being sarcastic to get a point. Right, yeah.
No, I'm going to tell you. The TV, Brad, that's what I was trying to do. The ESPN, TNT, paid a record amount of money. DirecTV, Fox,
for the rights to the games.
NFL Network.
Right.
That's where the bulk of this that's when everything went crazy. Not crazy. It was better for everybody. TV.
Now, the TV people ain't in the business of spending money and investing money in which they can't recoup their and make a margin on it. Why in your opinion?
I think they outbid it, Brent. I think me personally, if you notice right after they signed that big deal with the NFL, with the NBA, ESPN, you notice they laid off a lot of people.
I remember that.
Yeah, a bunch, about 100 people. Mr. Hatter, can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
I made a note to myself, and it was exactly along the lines of where you went anyway. And I made a note to myself. I said the shorter contracts, LeBron being the example, are they a result of the idea that the broadcast rights are always going to go up? Because the reason I asked that is because I don't believe anything ever goes up forever. And I'm just wondering, is there a point in time when they've outbid themselves?
Me personally, it's kind of off the record because I wanted to keep going higher.
Right.
But I don't see where they can go. No. And me personally, I know when they come for this next deal, ESPN and TNT going to play a little bit more hardball.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I apologize. I interrupt you, but no, the thing is, I don't see where the growth is anymore because, yeah, we play a few football games in London, but they don't care about football. We don't care about soccer. Africa, we get some good players out of Africa, but ain't no one over there watching no basketball. They're playing soccer, too. China, you got Jeremy Lin, but they don't give a crap about that because they don't have TVs to watch it on. At some point in time, I'm a big stock market guy, and I just don't believe down stays down forever. I don't think up stays up forever. And I just wonder where's the point in time because, like Alan said, or you mentioned, the ESPN laid off all those people. They're going to find a way to have robots start doing the broadcast. But
let me tell you another stream that they're doing. The streaming.
Right.
The streaming. They don't need a TV all the time. Even YouTube. Look, did you look at this TV last night?
Yeah, I just dated myself really badly. I think I just dated myself pretty bad.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Y'all broadcasting on YouTube, but on my TV screen right now,
YouTube
they got
TV.
the NBA TV on.
Right.
And YouTube got a big sign right there in front next to the NBA sign.
Right. They were doing a
streaming is coming as content. I've been told multiple occasions that cable television is 3 to 5 years from being obsolete.
And I got another one for you, Brent. I got one more for you.
Okay.
Brent, they got virtual reality.
Okay.
Coach, check this out. You can be over in France, and you can put on those virtual reality glasses, and the NBA Finals you can be right there sitting in the game right next to Beyonce or Jay-Z or Lil Wayne, whoever. Your seat.
You courtside with a set of those glasses.
You courtside.
The experience is there.
People pay for that service.
How do you monetize that?
They are.
People, I don't know how they doing
No,
it.
because I don't understand it. I'm technologically savvy, but I'm internet ignorant. I'm kind of a different.
Yeah,
I do a lot of video editing.
But the fact is that you have any idea what that experience costs?
I don't know. I don't know, Brad. They introduced it at the All-Star game. They were talking about it at the All-Star game. That's when they practiced. That's going to be a future thing. And guess what? It's going to be monetized. Don't get it twisted.
Hold on a second. Under the Prince, what you got?
Those VR heads, those VR glasses, they range from $99 to about $250, and then you have to you use your TV provider. So like those games, use your TV provider to kind of connect it. And
pay-per-view type of thing.
Yeah, and then that's how you can. That's how
that
when
makes sense.
you want to watch
that
the game
sense.
live.
That makes a lot of
sense.
Right.
And
That
then
makes
you
sense.
can watch it, and then they'll show you like 2-3 different courtside angles. So you won't just watch one side. There'll be multiple angles you'll watch on there.
So about $350 sounds like you get the experience, Hatter.
Hey, France, I'm trying to tell you. You over in France, you chilling, you want to watch the game like that. It's people paying for that stuff.
Right. And that's the answer to the question. I mean, it's totally realistic. Technology, I mean, right now you're sitting in a situation where we trying to figure out which way this NCAA thing is going on. And technology and streaming is part of that. But one thing that doesn't seem to fail is the content. We're about to take a quick break here. We're going to take a quick break. Yeah, we're going to be back in about.
Remind me to tell you about the All-Star game.
Okay.
What happened at the All-Star game? We'll come back.
Right here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. We got Robert Hatter right now from Houston, Texas, giving us a breakdown and educating us about this process. We haven't even gotten into the draft right here on Basketball Thursday, but we get a full dose of finance, fiscal nature of sports and where it's going across the globe. Be back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you by Indy Hoops. Indy Hoops is located right there in California. We'll be right here in Texas for the Indy Hoops World Championship Finals here at the end of the month. Take a look and listen at this commercial and look at the kids that are playing and get a feel of what you're going to be able to see at Drive Nation at the end of the month. Back in 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show.
How do you think these players from across the country compare to the players that's in the Wisconsin area?
Ranked teams, better players, competition, more teams that we got to battle against.
The competition a lot tougher. Like in the Wisconsin area, we get 2-3 teams that usually compete, and we all just between those 2 or 3 teams who win all the tournaments around there. But this is more different teams. You never know who's gonna win.
Together, I asked them a question, what's the best part about team? And of course I got all the cliche answers, and I said, no, the best thing about team is your team, having a bunch of guys that you can depend on and rely on. And this is a type of game where you can't do it by yourself. You have to rely on guys to be there and have your back and work as one.
Coach, here we come right back in. Here we come right here. Hey, here we are back here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. It's getting hot. There's a lot of information rolling around here. Like I say, the commercial breaks are about as good as the show right now. We need to start airing the commercials and the whole deal going straight through. But that won't work too good because all the content's good. I learned a good lesson from the NBA. They always stop for the commercial break.
Somebody's got to pay the bills.
Somebody got to pay the bills. Snoop Dogg should stay. So we're back here at the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network with Robert Hatter. Robert Hatter, we come back. We're going to talk about. You brought up the NBA All-Star Game, and you've been going for roughly 25 years. And you brought up at the break. We were talking about the technology conference and where that's going. And obviously, we're sponsored by one of the biggest technology companies involved with the NBA with Fast Small Sports. So we get it. But tell us about your experience with the technology conference.
I mean, usually, you go to the NBA, you do a lot of basketball stuff, you have agent meetings, you do this. But this particular time, somebody called me and said, Robert, you need to be here. So I go to this conference, and Kevin Durant, Iguodala, Stephon, all of these guys, they haven't sort of. It was a tech summit meets the NBA. You know the big tech summit they usually do in Vegas, the CES or whatever.
The Consumer Electronics Show, yeah.
Yes. Somehow they married this thing, and I remember you said, where's the future going? Where's the ceiling? Just a smart guy like Adam Silver and Mark Tatum. Mark Tatum happen to be the deputy commissioner. Mm-hmm. These guys are doing something with this with that tech. The NBA ain't gonna marry and let you be on their platform unless it's gonna help the NBA.
Make
so
money.
It's something gonna be basketball related, what they call it BRE, basketball related income in the future. That's gonna have to something gonna have to do with the technology field. So, I mean, look for that.
Now,
it was just unbelievable, Brent.
I'm gonna throw one out there at you. First of all, I'm all the way on board with exactly what you're saying, and let's see. I'm trying to think which NBA All-Star game, NBA All-Star weekend. Kenny has a party at all of them. It was in Houston. This was when I was first introduced to it before I even knew anything about fastball sports. What's the hotel right there on 610 up from the Galleria with all the glass in front of it?
The Hotel Derrick?
No, across the freeway from Hotel Derrick. Celeste, right next to the Intercontinental. So what is it? Celeste. It's something with an S and an O-L, something Celeste, whatever, something along those lines.
Okay.
That's where they had their tech conference.
Sonesta,
right? The Sonesta Hotel. Yeah. That's where they had their tech conference probably 5-6 years ago. Because I was with Larry Miller, who was the CEO of Brand Jordan, and that was where I met him over there. Now the interesting piece that you're relaying back with me is that now they're taking the players over and introducing them with all the geeks and all the smart people. And that lets you know they got something serious. When you take the players over, anytime the players get involved, I tell my man all the time, when the players get involved, it get down to the nitty-gritty.
You know what that makes me suspect right away? That those players are going to find a way to say 80% of this revenue generated by my likeness goes to the league, but I get 20 based upon hit counts or how much interest there is in virtual reality, because those players aren't going up there doing a tech conference because they like Adam Silver. They're doing that for a reason. Everyone does things for reasons.
Oh, of course they. And I'm gonna tell you, these players got a great leadership. Let me tell y'all something. I done found out just over the last 3 or 4 years. Mm-hmm. That kid that played for Houston that everybody talking about that always getting hurt, Chris Paul.
Oh yeah,
great
Chris
leader.
Paul is a great. I thought LeBron was running this stuff. I'm telling you. Mm-hmm. So I talked to Michelle Roberts, who is the president, the executive director. Chris Paul is on it, y'all. Chris Paul is the reason that every guy who spent 3 years in that NBA gets lifetime benefits for them and their family.
Lifetime benefits is in insurance and all that, right?
Yes, medical benefits. Yes.
Wow.
If you in that NBA for 3 years, you got a lifetime. Chris Paul and Carmelo Anthony.
Got that
the
done.
guy who y'all think so. Look, those guys, man, are seriously, actively trying to help players who came before them. And so that leadership is a great. I put it like this: if the NFL's leadership was as good as the NBA's Players Association or union leadership, we wouldn't
be dealing with this anthem thing right now.
Yeah, but Mr. Hatter, let me ask you a question. You operate in both the NFL and the NBA, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Does it just make you want to throw up when they use the word contract on an NFL negotiation? Because a contract is a two-way employment agreement. There's not a two-way employment agreement.
According to definition, but go ahead.
But I mean, the technical definition. I grew up in union country. When you sign a contract, you're both stuck like Chuck. Whether you like it or not, you got to pay me unless you can find a reason to get rid of me. And at the end of the day, I mean, take baseball contracts. Alex Rodriguez, I think, had two $250 million contracts. And the second the ink dried, he got every single penny of it. I mean, how on earth did they get away with this? And I guess they rationalize it by saying, well, we have a really high injury rate. Well, so what? They have a really high rate of medical bills because of those same injuries. I mean, it's unbelievable to me that they can say that with a straight face.
Well, what's your take on that,
Hatter? You know what? Think about it. See, sometimes you got to think as an owner.
Okay. Yep.
Sometimes,
unfortunately,
I know,
you're right.
Coach, you're thinking as you, Coach.
Right, sure.
See, my thing, why I have so much success against them, I try to think like them. First of all, but they got a loophole that you got to think about it. I'm trying to give it to you. I'm trying to give it to you where the goats can get it without being so complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Is that those are contracts? Don't get it twisted. Those contracts, these NFL players get paid a lot of money. They don't get pennies.
Oh no,
But
I'm not
the
implying it's a
problem is-
pittance. I'm just saying that it's so easy to, you suspend a guy so he doesn't get his game check. He blows his knee out. You fire him. I mean, that's not a contract.
But if you got a good agent, you get most of your money up front.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
That's what football's getting on front.
Right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
See, football, you get your money up front, and you got to make the team you got to be physically able to perform
Right.
every year to get that other money that your salary.
Mm-hmm.
But your bonus and your guaranteed money, it's gonna come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So they get money. What happens is they can cut you at any time.
Well, that's where I'm saying
about
that I don't think it's a contract because you can't cut A-Rod because he goes in a slump. You can't cut Carmelo because he doesn't guard nobody.
Yeah, but guess what? A-Rod and Carmelo don't get their money up front.
True. True. They get it stretched out over time. I grant you. But
Yeah.
and that's why, and a lot of times, like, remember the Albert Haynesworth contract where everyone said he got $125 million? And in reality, and it wasn't even close. It was more like, I don't know the number, but more like 50, 60, 70.
I got something for you, Coach. Always remember when you see those NFL contracts. This is what I want you to always remember. Don't worry about that $100 and some dollars. When you look at the number that says his guaranteed money,
right?
That's the money. That's the only money he gonna get.
Right. Well, that's my argument about not being a contract because I think the terms under which they determine what is payable and what's. I mean, you can't just cut a guy when he blows his knee out in the NBA. You just can't do it. You just pay him his money. You negotiate a buyout, and he goes down the road and plays golf a lot.
How do you think that happened, Robert?
What you mean? What you mean? How do you think that?
How I think it happened where in basketball, guys is why do you think basketball and baseball are different than football? In your opinion?
Because the injuries are less severe.
Okay.
It's the liability. You're talking about the guarantees.
Yeah.
And not the possibility that Alan Branch might go and get hurt and never play basketball again is not likely as football. Football, if one run up down the field, you probably could never play again.
Might not ever walk again.
So,
but isn't there something that's more humane than all or none? I mean, isn't there? Couldn't you go? A guy blows his knee out, he gets 30% of his contract. If a guy, you could be having conditions
in the football.
Talking about in the NFL.
Yeah, because I would be willing to bet that NBA and Major League Baseball owners fantasize about being NFL owners. Wouldn't you love to be a guy who doesn't have to pay people because you're pissed off?
Oh my God, I'd love to be an NFL owner.
Oh my God, they got it going, and it's just every other owner in sports.
They got it going. And hold up, Coach, I got something better for you.
What's that,
Coach? They don't give you what the average life expectancy is 3.5 years.
Right.
And guess what? They tie you to their contract for at least 4 years, and then they got 2 or 3 more years to franchise it, so they can hold you under that rookie contract as long as they want to. And then hold up, if you're not good enough anymore, they discard you and get a younger one and go through that cycle again.
Yep, I got a friend of mine who goes through wives like that.
Yeah. when we come back, from the break, Mr. Hatter, I want to bring a little clarity of how is it, because I mean it's a billionaires club. Owners, would you say that all owners of our 3 major sports, baseball, football, and basketball, all the owners are billionaires? There's no doubt about that.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Price of admission.
Price of admission. Right.
Yes.
There you go. Why is it that the football billionaires have, other than the life expectancy, have been able to manipulate and do the things and being the level of success that they've been. We're back at 180 seconds, and Bobby Hatter's going to enlighten us, and we're going to move over into the draft preparation process as we approach the NBA draft. Back at 180 seconds with more Lone Star Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you about the Lone Star Showcase. Lone Star Showcase, the NCAA certified event, will take place at Drive Nation Fieldhouse and do the first live period in July the 13th through the 15th. We also have the Lone Star Top 100 Camp going the 11th and 12th. Guaranteed has been in the past somewhere between 70 and 100 Division I coaches will be there during the course of the 4-5 days to evaluate players. Back with more Lone Star Sports Show. Got myself, Alan Brandt, Tom Inman, Lady Life, and the Prince Honey keeping us between the lines, and our special guest, Robert Hatter, right in Houston, Texas, back in 180 seconds. Back here, right here, live at the Lone Star Sports Show. Giving it to you right out here in Oak Cliff, Texas, right here. Giving it to you where it is at a mile adjustment there. We got my main man, Robert Hatter, on the phone. Really, I mean, God, buddy for probably almost 20 years now. But Hatter, you get smarter and smarter the older you get, man. Or you just
no, man.
I gotta put you on the air to get it like this right here. Get more information. I get smarter listening to you on the air than we getting 20 rounds of golf.
Hey, let me tell you something. I'm not trying to talk on that golf course. I'm trying to hit my ball straight.
Yeah, you trying to hit your ball straight. Hit it straight too. Hit it long sometimes too. He hit it long all the time, and he hit it straight. You catch him in the right deal. When it's like he's playing with Mizuno. What are you playing with? Mizuno MP? What?
Yeah, MP 32.
Yeah,
I've been having
blades.
for 10 years and don't want to exchange. Yeah.
Well, he can buy new clubs and he put the other ones in the garage and keep on playing with those blades.
You like what you like, man.
You like what you like. You like what you like. So what else you got for me, Brant? What else you got for me?
Let's talk, man. I appreciate it. You know, what Robert and I do is that when he actually is on a sports talk show, daytime sports talk show, the Chop Shop, which Chris Walker and I were a part of, and probably a lot of people how I am about the whole process and looking at things the right way, is that the Lonestar Sports Show probably wouldn't exist, or the idea wouldn't even exist if it wasn't for the Chop Shop, because the Chop Shop came about from a point of that I was involved before Robert Hatter was even thinking anything about it, and Jimmy was kind of messing with it, but Chris Walker and I were there. Well, I didn't want no parts of doing what I'm doing right now. So I called Chris Walker over. And so Chris Walker gets over, then he goes and gets Robert Hatter and Jimmy Hicks. And then Chris Walker go get him another job and leave the country almost.
High and dry, huh?
Leave everybody high and dry. And then we back down here scuffling in the radio business, and he's sitting out there driving around in Maserati.
We're watching you, Walker. We're watching you.
I got to figure all this out. Go ahead.
And, Coach, I got to tell a story. Chris asked me about 10 times to come on the show, and I refused to come on because I know Chris was going to try to trick me and try to bring something out of me that I shouldn't say on air.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I never wanted to be on the air. I'm the guy. I want to be the guy that make my guy rich.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy in the background.
You've been successful at it a few times. You got.
Yes.
The Heisman Trophy winner from up there, Michigan State. Yeah,
Yes. No. Don't ever say Michigan State.
University of Michigan.
Oh, bite your tongue, brother. Woo, that's a big Ten gaffe. I know. I grew up.
The Michigan Wolverines. Now they take that pretty serious, boy. That's worse than A&M in Texas down here. But no, that as I don't know why I can't call my man's name. Said Woodson.
Hey, Branch, I didn't know whether you wanted me to talk about this, but I had a meeting. I had a meeting, Coach, with a prospective client. Young kid came out of college, about a few months ago. Okay, so when I walked in, I said, because these kids, they don't like to write nothing down. So I said, man, I sit down. I want you to write some numbers down for me. I said, it's a football player. I said, I want you to write these numbers down. I said, the first number is 78. Okay. He said, okay, why should I write that down? I said, because I'm gonna tell you, in football, you're going to be a football player. 78% of y'all, after 2 years removed from your sport, you're bankrupt, unemployed, or divorced. 78% of all of y'all. Then he said, okay. He said, what's the other number? I said, 92.
You really
got to understand. Wow, 92. He said, I said, 92. I said, you're African American, right? I said, I said 92% of the African American football players, after 2 years removed, not getting a check from that team again, they're broke. And I said, the last number I want you to write is 0. And then he said, why, Coach? I said, Coach, that's the percentage. That's the number of my clients who stay with me. They never end up that way. None of them ever. Every last one of them are successful men after Penny Hardaway, Rashard Lewis. All of these guys, you never hear about these guys on the news because of the guidance that they have. And Branch, there is no reason for a young man that's on this TV or playing basketball to be broke in a destitute situation ever again. So that's the problem I have with these people who getting in this industry for the wrong reasons and not looking out for the best interests of their clients. So I didn't know if you wanted me to go there.
No, I'm totally. One thing that had us that since 1997, we played in our first scramble golf tournament. We met each other. Trusting you has never been an issue, so I trust you. So you the only thing I gotta do is when it's come time to go to break, we gotta go to break. Or I get in trouble over here. We'll come back in about 180 seconds. We ought to trust you some more. And I'm all about quality information. I knew those numbers exist. You just kind of threw me off with the 78. And I probably knew the numbers existed like 3/4, 75%. You know how we just kind of mess it up. Those are the exact numbers that you got right there of where it is. And and it kind of leads us into something. And in the industry that you're in now, it's turned into such a bulk type industry. You know, large agencies gathering up huge stables of athletes, and all of the what I want to say, responsibility or accountability toward these numbers not happening like that, and these numbers being as high, is because, you know, you've got agencies that are representing, you know, I'm just throwing a number out there. It's not a real number, so don't hold me to it. They've got 65 guys in the NBA or something. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing some crazy number out there. They're representing guys, and only 3 of them are important. You know, and so it, you know.
No. In football, wait a minute, basketball, all of them important. Because it ain't but 450 some basketball players, pro basketball players in the whole world.
Right,
so
but it's a whole, but it's a whole.
It's not superstars.
Right,
I mean, not superstars.
Not superstars.
Okay.
When I say important,
okay,
they don't say have the same value. But in football, because they come and go maybe a little bit faster due to the mortality rate and what happens in the sport, they're a lot more dispendable. Right, it's what I'm kind of getting at. But what I'm really getting at is, it used to be a time when I used to think about agents. This was a guy that really had the best interest of his client in mind, because the longevity and all of his success depended upon the success of that client. Now I feel like, and I'm not novice. I mean, you know me. You know me. But this is just me on my side of it. Now I look at the situation of it is, it's more of a warehousing, moving guys through. And there are a few trophies that go up on the mantle that actually care about. So these numbers don't surprise me.
Well, you know, one of the reasons I think you see in the consolidation of those big sports franchises, of the agents coming together, is I got a buddy of mine who played college basketball with the guy who's an agent right now, and he works for a relatively small shop. And he had one of the guys who's probably going to go top 10, and he put a lot of money into him and got pimped at the end. You know, and you hear that happen all the time. Well, creative artist, agency can afford to hit and miss. They can afford to miss more. If you take a small shop and you miss on one, you're broke. You're out of the business.
Yeah.
Yes, because these guys, Brad, used to be a time.
They take money from multiple agents. You don't know where you stand with this.
There you go.
Brad, this what I told my friend of mine the other day. This is an illogical business that I'm in. This is a business where people expect for you to pay them to go get them some money.
Right. That's right.
Coach, you want me to rewind that and play that again?
But no, I know exactly what you said. Dude, you're in a business right now. I'm going to rewind and play it for you again. You're in a business right now where somebody wants you to pay them for you to go and represent them, for them to get some money.
But, Mr. Hatter, they're going to remind you real quickly that there's only 450 players, and my son's one of them. And if you want to represent them, then you better bring a bucket of cash, because if you don't bring me a bucket of cash, Andy Miller down the street will. Whoops, shouldn't have said that, huh?
Yeah, well, he out of it.
But guess what? And Coach, the crazy thing, Alan, you used to get picked the agent on their marriage.
No.
Okay, that's how they used to pick.
They pick the agent. They pick the agent now. They pick the agent now.
Whoever give them the most money.
Whoever give them the most money. That's right. That's exactly.
Yes.
But this starts. This kind of. It's funny we having this conversation. You know, and I didn't rig this run sheet. I didn't. If nobody else knows, I haven't even had time. It's probably the less prepared show I've been in for in probably months. But
that's all right. I got you.
But the reality of it is, Coach, and we got 2 minutes. We're gonna go to break. We're gonna come back on it. Is that this starts? I told Robert Hatter something a long time ago. We were buddies at golf, but he didn't know much about it. He didn't hang around grassroots basketball. He was talking about how crazy the kids and parents and the expectations were. And my response to Robert Hatter was probably 15 years ago, Robert, they get crazy way before they get to you. And,
did.
Yeah. And we're sitting here now, Robert, and I'm thinking about it, the money situation and their perspective and what they're in pursuit of, and what they get in pursuit of at 14 and 15 years old. And we know we kind of use some loose language we probably shouldn't use about families that pimp their kids and the whole pimped out process that goes on, their approach. They're in the approach. It's just a money grab all the way through, and that's the whole deal. So once again, they start looking for somebody to hand them and give them something to go out and get them some more way before they get to you, Coach. It's the same thing. The situation starts again.
Hey, you want to hear a funny story? About 20 years ago, I talked to a friend of mine, was a coach at Texas. I said, Rob, you got to be really happy. Rob Wright, a Dallas guy. I said, you got to be loving coaching college basketball because now you got to put up with these idiot parents. He goes, do you really believe I don't put up with the same crap you put up with? He goes, they're all Americans, and they think they're – I mean, I got it worse than you do, and I ain't got nothing else to do all day. At least you can hide out and say you're in class.
Hey, we're about to go out to the break right here. We come back, we'll go with more Robert Hatter right there in Houston, Texas with the Chop Shop, the Deal Agency. More than that, he's a brand on his own. Robert Hatter, all by himself right here. Alan Branch. Tom Edmond. Like Lady Life and my main man, Ani the Prince, giving it to you like it is right here on the Lone Star Sports Show on the Lone Star Sports Network. Back with more of the Lone Star Sports Show. This particular segment was brought to you by Harlem Hotels. Harlem Hotels, put your money where you sleep, right there located in the Bayou City Investment and Development Company. Go take a look at HarlemHotel.com and take a listen right now, and you can learn more about that process back in 180 seconds. Right back into the Lone Star Sports Show right here on the Lone Star Sports Network, located right here in the heart of Texas. All things sports, all things Texas right here. Chime in, y'all hit right out on YouTube, on the Lone Star Sports Network. We're going to be returning back to some of our other social media entities. Some of you people have been asking about it. We're going to answer the bell on that piece, bring it back on, do some more things back on Periscope, and we're going to be bringing in a new Lone Star Sports Show on Facebook Live, too. We'll be returning back there again. So to keep it all where it needs to be. But right now, we got the usual regular crew right here on Basketball Thursday, but we got a special guest, Robert Hatter, getting it all in. Robert, as we get down into the paint, I always like to come up with some solutions. We can sit and talk about things, you know, and you know, there has to be some, you know, you and I both and all of us are in this business to try to make this a better place, you know. And it comes down to who are people listening to? Who are the kids listening to? what's going on? Because we had 236 guys to put their names in the draft. I mean, Coach, they coming back faster than hot checks, and people don't even write checks no more. You know, I mean, it's nuts. You know, and then it turns around and puts the NCAA in this precarious situation where now you're messing up programs because they got to wait all the way into the deal to know if you're going to come or not going to come. That's going to be interesting. It's another show of how long that's going to last because they're wrecking, you know, NCAA Power 5 rosters and expectations of what's going on because they're sitting there. They can't give the kid scholarship away. They can't go get another player. So the only thing you can do is go get a passport and head overseas and try to find one.
I've just always wondered why you can't use the baseball model in basketball because in baseball you can get drafted and then go back to play in college if you don't like the contract you get. What is so sacrosanct about hiring an agent? What is so – I mean, these kids have been pros since they've been 17 years old, for God's sake.
Yeah,
let's not act like they suddenly became a pro when they signed with you.
Yeah, right. And there's some reality to a certain percentage of players on that. But here's my deal is right here. With all the money and everything that's involved, why aren't there a more structured, intelligent perspective about teaching and informing people? And why do people always listen to the clowns? That's what I want to know, Robert. I want your opinion.
Coach, hold up. You need to be helping. Coach, if you help me with that, you're going to help 90% of my business. The recruiting part of this thing. Hey, Coach Emmett, let me tell you something. I get a straight A in everything in this business except recruiting.
And that's probably because you won't compromise yourself, right?
No,
I can't. Yeah. I got a son that has my name, and he got the same name as mine, and I never want to do anything to have my name on the bottom of that ticker on ESPN. That'll hurt my family and my name. Because I always tell him the same thing. Don't go out there and hurt our name. Well, that name, you got to live. So that's why I don't do it. Listen, I'm not mad at nobody else for what they do. It's that I would rather. You remember, Alan Branch, you gave me a story one time. I can live this certain way right here for the rest of my life, and I'm okay.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
Of course, I love. Oh, let me tell you something, Coach. Back then, I wasn't thinking about no private plane. Coach, they got private planes around here. They just driving around in there and flying around in.
Oh yeah, you right. Yeah. Got me a little ride the other day.
So I'm sitting there saying, but guess what? I'm okay where I am. Because when I get on the plane, Coach, I figured it out. All of us gonna get there at the same time, either first class. And I told a guy the other day, I said, I'm first class. I'm flying first class. He said, but I said, my seat might be in coach, but I'm a first class dude. That's what I told.
Coach, I think you try to trick the people, Coach. Every time I've been on a plane, which I always pass by and speak to you and go back to my seat in my group back there.
Come on.
I don't put it out there.
I'm trying to be humble.
Robert, I don't mean to blow smoke. I don't mean to blow smoke up your skirt, but one of the things we talked about earlier in the shows, we talked about how one of the most misquoted pieces of scripture is people always say that money is the root of all evil, and that's not true. It's the love of money is the root of all evil. And for you to be able to care about your son's name, think how many guys that you know out there who trashed their family because they couldn't say no at that point. That little fork in the road when you say, "Will I give him the $1 million or will I hold my
Cangelo?
Yeah,
he didn't do that. He didn't do that name. He didn't do that name a whole lot of good, did he?
Oh my God! His father is the godfather of USA basketball, and he's still toxic. I don't even know if he can get him a job.
He'll be running. That's who's gonna be running all the new certified events, probably. Mark my words.
Coach, let me tell you something.
It's gonna make them an offer they can't refuse, huh?
Yeah.
Coach, I've met Bryant. I've been around with Bryant. Me personally, I like Brian Colangelo. I think that's the stupid. You know the stuff, Branch. You know the stuff we be telling these kids.
Yeah,
man,
think
watch
before you tweet.
You press send.
Yeah, think before you tweet. Yeah.
How you lose that job, and then throw your wife under the bus?
Yeah.
Well, he's desperate. He's just groveling for that job.
I did a couple segments on smartphones and don't do well with dumb people. About
say that one more time.
Smartphones I say dumb people don't do well. Dumb people don't do well with smartphones. You got a whole lot too much going on, man. You can't get it back. You know.
We losing jobs on social media. A lot of money. Like the girl, the Kardashians making money on social media, and these guys losing jobs on social media. Come on, man.
Got it backwards.
Come on, man.
You got it backwards.
Come on, man.
Coach, before well, two things I want to say. Hannah, we before we go to the NBA finals, and for a little bit more entertainment. We're sitting here. You got Tom Emlin, successful state champion, many of Division I players, high school basketball coach, successful across the board. I know where his heart is. I know where your heart is. I know where my heart. We got young, up and coming Ani Money. We're trying to teach him where his heart should be, and be a good example, you know, to where he is. He did a pretty good job. He found you a good pitcher, so he headed in the right direction. But in all sincerity, how do we, in 60 seconds, with all of our various roles in this process, find a way to educate these the parents and the kids and the overall community about seeing how much power and how much opportunity, and you start talking about 78 and 92%, and where this is, and the ones that are not getting a degree and not understanding the opportunity they have through the vehicle of sports, period, whether it's only the college. And you know, you're not out to talk about our resumes and all that we've done. That's beside the point. We gotta have a bigger impact on the community about this. Give me 60 seconds. You're down there talking about it every day, 2 hours a day, just like we are. Where do you think we are, and what can we do?
What we can do, Brash, and what I try to do on the Chop Shop every day is I just want to inform. One of these days I'm gonna show you the email that I get from parents
You shared them with
just
me
didn't know.
Yeah.
They just didn't know. I mean, we got parents. We had Charlie Hurd on today talking about how to become a walk-on and how to be in the pitfalls of becoming a grad assistant. We giving these people practical things in our sports realm that we can help with their everyday life. We teaching them how to get eligible. We teach them how to get eligible. So your son, what's the use in him playing every summer and he's not going to be eligible to go to college? So we giving them practical stuff, Branch, on this show, on the Chop Shop, every single day. That's my goal, is to give these people stuff that they can live their everyday life with. That's the nut.
I totally agree, 100%. I'm gonna squeeze this in right quick. I got an XUIL, successful XUIL coach here. I want to say kudos to TCAL and Ronnie Courtney actually helped me propose it and voted in to TCAL is that there's no more playing. D is not passing. D's and F's kids is not played with anymore. They're trying to do something in UIL. They got a bunch of stuff going on awesome, but they haven't been successful passing it. And I don't know what coach feels about it. I mean, because he's obviously been successful a number of years. But we know that D's and F's will not get you NCAA eligible toward getting a scholarship, but it still will keep you eligible to play UIL football, basketball, any sport it may be.
Well, I don't want a kid who's that big of a slacker. I really don't. I mean, I'm glad they have no pass, no play, because if you didn't have no pass, no play, you'd have to leave it up to the integrity or the lack of. A lot of coaches have.
But this is the problem with UIL. The D is passing.
Right. I think it should be. I wouldn't mind having it be. You're talking about being a 70 or an 80 cutoff.
A C cutoff. Cutoff, because that range of changes around there. Boy, we went by real fast. Hey, real fast, Coach. Who you calling it? Is it a sweep? Or is it?
Man, I got my bro. Man, LeBron checked out.
Where LeBron checked out? Okay, where is it? Philadelphia going to work for LeBron? Or L.A.?
No, University. Hey, people don't realize Houston. Chris Paul been calling him every day.
Yeah, but can I point out one problem that, Robert, I'm sure you're aware of, that there's only one basketball on the court, and it's already hard enough to split it between Harden and Paul. You're going to split it between those two and LeBron?
No, wow. You know what? Y'all, a lot of people didn't think that would work.
A lot of people didn't think that would work.
It didn't work.
Well, I think it did work. I disagree.
It worked for theatrics until the playoffs when it really matters, and in nut cutting time they got their nuts cut.
Well, I think they had a chance to beat Golden State if Paul doesn't get hurt with the hamstring situation.
Coach, think about this, Coach. They took the best team in the world to 7 games.
Right. I'll give them that.
And ain't nobody else who took them.
And took them to 7 games with 2 of those games without their point guard.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, now that's reality.
But Brad, I love the show. I appreciate you, but I want to leave your listeners and the kids with something like this. That's all I want to tell them. Mm-hmm. No one can go back and make a brand new start. However, anyone can start from now and make a brand new ending.
There you go.
When you know the truth, you're responsible for your actions.
Right.
Those are 2 things that I want people to get today. Okay?
Robert Hatter just said it. When you know better, you got to do better. Right there. Robert Hatter. The deal. That's all you got to say is just Robert Hatter. Yeah. No, he's a golfer. He's a golfer. So we play. Okay. We haven't made it play much this week, but we try to play once or twice a week. So you can come up and we'll go to the club and get after it. But you guys right here on the Lone Star Sports Show. We had Robert Hatter, a special guest, a main man, Tom Inman, Under the Prince, keeping us in between the lines, and Lady Life got the fly swatter after it was back in 100. Back. We will actually be gone for 1 week, headed to the NBA Players Association camp. So follow us on Twitter, TX Boys Basketball and Unny_YourMoney0 on Twitter to see what's going on at TexasBoysBasketball.com. We'll see you on a week from today. Actually, a week from today. That's correct.